it's defining your happiness however you define it. That's so important. It's based on your happiness. It's your purview. It's your life.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the MentorZ podcast. I'm your host, Ava Wettrick. Here on this show, we talk to luminaries from around the world to discuss their journey towards success and what wisdom they have to offer the younger generation. Each episode, we have on a new guest, a new story, and a new path towards personal success. I hope you're ready, and I hope you enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MentorZ. Today, we have on Zach Friedman. Zach is the founder and CEO of Make Lemonade, a leading personal finance company that empowers you to live a better financial life. And previously, he was a CFO, a hedge fund investor. He worked at Blackstone, Morgan Stanley, and the White House. Zach holds degrees from Harvard, Wharton, Columbia, and Johns Hopkins. He's an in-demand speaker and has inspired more than 25 million people in 125 countries who have read his advice in Forbes. And most recently, Zach is the best-selling author of the blockbuster book, The Lemonade Life. After having a conversation with Warren Buffett, Apple named his book one of fall's biggest audiobooks and a must-listen. Zach is probably one of the most accomplished people I've ever had the privilege of talking to. His book, Lemonade Life, is nothing short of inspiring. His responses to my questions are articulate and well thought out. This man truly wants the best for the world. Without further ado, Zach Friedman. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MentorZ. Today we have on Zach Friedman. Zach, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Ava. It's great to be with you.
I am so excited to talk to you, just digging into who you are and researching you. There's a lot of interesting subjects we can cover, but one of the first questions I always ask my guests is, what is your origin story? Who were you then, and how did you get to where you are today? And you can go back as far as you'd like.
Let's go back to childbirth. Is that when we should start?
Oh, man, like some of my guests do.
So I was born and raised in Los Angeles, the great state of California, and grew up there, had a chance to come to the East Coast for college, and really wanted to pursue a career that I could make an impact. That was something that was very important to me from a young age. There's different ways to create impact, as you know. You can give back to your community. You can work in public service. You can create a business that touches the lives of people. I spent my career in finance, working with companies to kind of build great enterprises and raise capital. And then I wanted to start something that was my own, that I could build from the ground up. And I started a company called Make Lemonade. Make Lemonade is a personal finance comparison company. So basically, you think of all the personal finance needs you have in your life, from student loans, which are never fun, to personal loans, to credit cards, and really give everyone a very transparent, easy to compare way with free calculators and content and tools that really everyone can make a decision for themselves and really feel empowered, so they're not overwhelmed by everything in your life about money. So we really try to help people and create impact, and particularly people, young people in college and millennials who are just trying to, get through life and pay off student loans and refinance student loans and all those good things. So that's something that's very important to me. And I've learned a lot over the ways of building a business and being an entrepreneur. And I've also, been able to impact people in other ways through my writing. So I have a column at Forbes, which I'm very grateful for, and have an audience across the world. So, last month I had 2.4 million readers, and have reached over 25 million readers in total in 125 countries. So very grateful for that, and love the platform and interacting and meeting readers. And then I know we'll talk about this, but I also have a best-selling book out, which I'm very proud of. Has helped to change a lot of lives for people also all over the world, and it's called The Lemonade Life. And so I know we'll delve into that today, but very grateful and excited to talk about that. It's been an amazing experience.
Yes. Listening to other interviews that you've done, this book is nothing short of phenomenal. An acquaintance of both of ours, Mark Metry, talks about how, he gifts this book a lot to a lot of people. And when I posted posted an Instagram story about you and your book, I actually had a lot of people reach out to me saying, hey, this is really, where can I find this? Zach seems nice. And I was like, absolutely. And thank you for providing the link. And I sent that to a lot of people. So hopefully you'll have some more book orders coming in.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. Very humbled.
Of course. I have to ask about the story, because iconic in its own way. Can you talk a little bit about, why you created the Lemonade Life?
I created the Lemonade Life to give people more power than they realize they have, right? I think so many people are going through life, just kind of wandering through life, and it may not be on purpose. It may just be just the way that life is, right? We have all these different levers and people pulling at us and distracting us, and they want our time and our energy. And what I found is that, people are really leading one of two lives, right? They're either leading what I call a lemon life, which is where really 99% of people live. It's either, settling for something that's less than your best self. Okay. It's built on settling. It's built on pretending or chasing. People might not even realize they're doing this. But if you take a step back and either look in the mirror, or you look at your friends or your family, a lot of people are just doing that. And they're living what I would call a subpar life. And then I started thinking about kind of this better life, right? And I was like, who gets to lead this better life? That we all have this aspiration. How can we lead a better life, whether it's in college or at work or just with our family? What can we do to lead a better life? And I started looking at kind of all these successful people, right? Not just in business, but, in politics and, celebrities, people in sports, all different facets of leaders. And I was like, what drives success? What really drives success? We talk about hard work. When we're in school and we're young, it's like, work hard, get good grades, get a good job, and then you're successful, right? But that's not really it, right? I mean, that's part of it, and that's good. And parents teach their kids to do that. But, I think it's something really beyond that. I started studying all these different leaders, and I saw that it was something much different, right? It was kind of these 5 behaviors that were driving success. And I just started to think about all these things through positive psychology and how we can kind of pull our own levers in our own life to take back control. And I really wanted to write a book that impacted people and was very practical. I didn't want some theoretical book or something like that. I wanted something where people can really apply advice day one to change their entire life in a positive direction. And that was really one of the driving forces why I wrote The Lemonade Life.
Yes. And, speaking of your 5 levers, the acronym for it is PRISM. But one of the most fascinating, switches that you talk about is self-awareness. Or at least to me, that's one of the most interesting ones that I came across. I've been experiencing this very recently where, one half of you is this higher conscious that knows what you're doing, and the other half is this really primal animalistic instinct that you just do things. So you're always communicating with yourself saying, hey, Ava, can you please do this thing? Like, it'd be so good if you did it. If you could do that, that'd be really nice. And you have to try to, wrangle in this crazy sporadic self. Or maybe you're not controlling it at all. So when it comes to self-awareness, how can, we as people, cultivate that self-awareness better and take control of our more primal selves so that we can live that better life, that lemonade life?
That's such a good point. You bring up this internal conflict, right? That all of us have, right? There's different aspects to our personalities. We're not just one person, right? We're not just the shy person or the go-getter, right? We all have kind of these different behaviors. And when it comes to self-awareness, which is one of the 5 switches in the book, these 5 behaviors that all of us have, no matter who we are, where we come from, what we do for a living, how much money we have, we all share through the human condition, these 5 behaviors. And one of them is self-awareness. And it's one of the most important because the way you really control all of that is you take time to really understand yourself. And a lot of people throw around the term self-awareness, like, okay, sure, get to know myself. But a lot of people don't actually practice it, right? They don't take the time, they don't take a step back from their daily activities, right? And you can do that through meditation, you can do it through prayer, you can do it just sitting quietly and really understanding, who you are as a person, right? And admitting all of your faults, admitting what you're good at, and really trying to rearrange your priorities in your life to say who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing? What am I trying to achieve? What am I trying to accomplish? Focusing on the things that you're good at. I think a lot of people get down on themselves, maybe through social media, maybe through peer pressure where, they're like, oh, so-and-so is so good at tennis, or, I wish I was more outgoing, or I wish I was a good public speaker like they were, right? And people beat themselves up unnecessarily. And it's okay. Look, it's okay if you're not great at something. It's okay if you're not great at 5 things or 10 things. I could probably name 50 things I'm not good at. And I'm okay with that. I'm amazing at many other things, but I think you build more self-confidence and self-understanding when you really take the time to understand who you are, right? And become aware of that. And everyone has those conflicts. So you're not different by having, part of you that's like this and part of you that's like that. And I think when you come to peace that exists, you can you have more confidence to control, which party do you want to bring forward and lead with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, I liked that you talked about some implementable steps there, right? Like you can meditate, you can literally take a step backwards in your life today and reevaluate and think about some things. Honestly, I use the shower. Like I'll just sit in the shower for a long time, thinking about my day, thinking about my life, and thinking about where I want to go next. And when you talk about things that are good in the book, you also talk about purpose. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you seem to be a very big advocate of having a purpose-driven life. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
This might be a bit of an interesting question because you're surrounded by these immensely successful entrepreneurs. I've built up a bit of a community, especially on LinkedIn, of all these young hustlers, all these entrepreneurs just getting it, but they're living their life and, it's purpose driven. And, something that I really wanted to ask you is like, is breaking out of that 9 to 5, is being an entrepreneur the only way to is it the only way to find purpose? Because honestly, I haven't seen it been done any other ways. Everyone says, well, I have this purpose in life, therefore I'm going to be an entrepreneur, therefore I'm going to fulfill it through entrepreneurship.
No, I think you'd have a purpose doing anything, right? As long as you have a purpose, right? So I talk about this in the book. The lemonade life, the definition of the lemonade life is leading your life on your terms with purpose and possibility. So purpose is the underlying reason why you do what you do, okay? It's the reason you get up every single morning. It's the why in your life. And possibility is endless opportunity. So when you connect purpose and possibility and you do it through action, that's how you lead the lemonade life. And you can do that in anything, right? I mean, your purpose does not have to be being an entrepreneur. I think so many people, it's like this black and white world where it's like you either work 9 to 5 and you're a loser, or or suddenly you're an entrepreneur and you're a winner. And I don't think that's right. I think you have to do what's best for you, right? I think people can absolutely work for other people, whether they work in business or nonprofit, or they're a teacher or a doctor or a nurse or an educator. It runs the gamut. But if you're happy doing that, and it gives you purpose in life, it gives you meaning, it allows you to create impact, it allows you to give back. That's wonderful. You don't need to quit your job because the 9 to 5 for you, I mean, 9 to 5 is it becomes a negative term, but 9 to 5 for you can be wonderful. Like if you love what you do for a living, I mean, how amazing is that, right? I gave a TED talk about happiness at work, and most people are not happy at work. And, we spend up to 70,000 hours of our life at work, right? I mean, think about that, 70,000 hours. If you don't have a purpose and you don't really know why you do what you do every single morning, I mean, imagine what your life's going to look like, right? So if you find it by starting your own business, wonderful. If you find it working for someone else, fantastic. If you are a parent and you stay home and you don't work, that can be a wonderful purpose in life, right? If you're someone of faith and you spend time, counseling people and inspiring people through prayer and through, faith-based services, that's wonderful too. It's fantastic. So many different ways to have purpose, but definitely figure out what your purpose is. And I'll tell you real quick, Ava, the best exercise I think people can do, and this sounds so simple, right? It's going to sound so simple what I'm going to tell you to do. Like literally take a piece of paper or on your phone, just type a note, right? And I just want you to write 3 words. My purpose is, and then literally just think about it, right? And that sounds like so simple. People are like, oh, my purpose is, and then just do it in 1 second, right? My purpose is money. My purpose is love. My purpose is my children, whatever. But if you actually spend 10 or 15 minutes actually thinking about what your life purpose is, and maybe you know it at this age, maybe you don't, but at least write it down what you think it is today. It can change over time. That is like the best exercise you can do with your life. Literally, my purpose is. When you start thinking about that, like you're in college right now, right? You're just starting out college. There's so many things being thrown at you right now. It's like they're meeting people. You got a new roommate. You're like all these subjects. Or what am I majoring in? What do I do with my life? Blah, blah, blah. When you start figuring out what your purpose is, and again, it can change over time, it's going to give you a lot more grounding. It's going to give you more direction at what you think you want to do in life. And it's going to make an experience much more positive than it otherwise might be. And so I would just implore everyone to do that. Just spend about 10 or 15 minutes, figure out my purpose is.
Yeah. And, honestly, just imagine spending 30 minutes on it. Because again, like you said, you can have that one simple answer that pops up immediately in your head. Like, my purpose is my family. My purpose is, to help others. That's usually a really common one. But, the more that I think about it, you could say my purpose is, to love, to be loving, My purpose is to be generous. But when you think about it, or when you say that, a lot of times people have the idea of purpose, and they feel the need to have it be really grandiose, right? To be really big. Especially my generation, or at least a lot of younger people that I know, they want to make a difference. They want to change the world in a big way, even though they're just one person. That's an amazing idea to have. Like, that's amazing that you want to go out there and you want to try to make the world a little bit better than when you found it. But do you think there are people out there that are afraid of their idea of purpose? That it might be too insignificant, or it might be too small, or it just might not add up to their own expectations of what they think that their purpose should be?
That's a great question. And the answer is no. No purpose is too big or too small. You know why? Because people's purposes are relevant to everybody else, right? It's a personal thing, right? Get rid of expectations, right? Expectations should never be in anyone's life. Don't expect anything, okay? And that's not a negative thing. That's actually a positive thing. Your purpose is for you. It's not, if it's, Ava's purpose is for Ava. Zach's purpose is for Zach. You can share it with other people, and maybe people will connect with it. But if they don't, or they're going to start judging, or you think it's too small or too big, or it's not grandiose, or it doesn't impact enough people. I mean, just think about creating impact. I talk about this in the Lemonade Life. You can be a teacher and you can impact the life of one student. Imagine just you impact the life of one student in your entire 30-year career. That's huge. That's amazing if you touch the life of one person. Or, I write the Lemonade Life, and one person literally is going down the wrong path, or they're just going down the right path, but they find a better path. That's amazing for me, right? That's a huge accomplishment. Be able to change someone's life from a book. That's a big deal, right? And so you can create a movement that impacts 1 million people or 1 billion people, or you can change the life of one person. And so I wouldn't focus so much on magnitude. I do something that gives you meaning in life and allows you to create impact if that's what your purpose is. So definitely think about that. I think it gives perspective to people and takes a lot of weight off of your shoulders.
Yeah, no, I think it does as well. Especially just being surrounded by, especially online, like communities of people where they have these big grandiose ideas of what they want for their life and their purpose. I thank you so much for saying that, because I think sometimes you get a little too caught up in that. And I just wanted to let that audience know that if your purpose is to go make wind chimes because you love wind chimes, and wind chime, like just the memory of wind chimes is important to you, and you want to share that with the world, go do that. Go do that. If that's your purpose and that's what you want to accomplish, please do it. I don't think there's anything too small, but time and time again, I feel like I've seen people shy away because their idea isn't big enough, or their concept of what they want to do isn't as sexy, or isn't as important as, what their friends are doing. Right. But you're right. It is personal, but I feel like it'd be really difficult to turn away from that, because there's so many influences on our life. Sure, some of them beat us over the head. Like my college really enjoys beating me over the head with hours and hours of math. That's, I can see that every day. But similarly, there's a lot of tiny, minute influences in my life that if I don't keep them in check, they can consume me, right? So how do you to live your own life, to go on your path and be set on your path, how do you recognize these influences and try to dismiss them in order to to go be the best you can be?
So there's a whole section in the Lemonade Life. One of the 5 switches in the acronym you brought up earlier called PRISM, PRISM. And I'll walk through real quickly what those mean. So P is for perspective, R is for risk, I is for independence, S is for self-awareness, and M is for motion. And so basically you're flipping all 5 of these switches to move from a lemon life to a lemonade life. And it's that middle one, I is for independence. Is exactly what you're talking about. Most people are stuck in a life of dependence, right? And what I mean by that is, they're kind of living life either because they want to impress someone, or they're following ideas of somebody else, or they're worried what their friends are going to think, or they're keeping up with the Joneses, or they're kind of stuck in this social media hole, black hole, and they don't know how to get out. Maybe they realize it, maybe they don't. But when you can kind of drop that life of dependence, right? Just think about how your life can change materially, right? So people who are worried, what their friends are going to think, right? Or oh, I have this idea, but maybe no one's going to like it, or social media puts pressure on me, or my school puts pressure on me, and I better do this because they expect this of me, or my parents want me to do this, so I better do this because they expect that of me. That's a lot of pressure, right? It's a ton of pressure for people, and people live their entire lives doing that, right? right? They get told to marry a certain person, right? Because their parents want them to, or go to this school because, mom and dad went there, or, this is the school that's going to get you the job, today, some people don't even go to college, right? And I've met a lot of people, a lot of people write me and they're like, look, I haven't gone to college. Is that okay? I'm like, absolutely. Like, if you're talking about entrepreneurship, I talk about this in the Lemonade Life. Entrepreneurship is the greatest form of meritocracy because anybody can do it. If you have a great idea and you can execute on that idea, you could be a successful entrepreneur. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you come from. If you have a great idea and you can execute, you can become a successful entrepreneur. And so that's empowering. And I think that people, and I talk about in the book, a lot of strategies going back to your question of like how you can kind of, break this mold of dependence, right? A lot of it starts with mindset and self-awareness too, because coming back to self-awareness, when you take the time to understand who you are and what you're good at and what you're not good at, a lot of people kind of prop up themselves, right? Because they want to be good at everything. They want to give an outward appearance that they're amazing, right? They're a rock star and in basketball, they're great in, school, everyone loves them, they're smart, they're creative, they can write, they can play the guitar,
They can do it all.
You can do it all. You can do it all, right? But just be honest. Be like, I have no idea how to play a guitar. No idea. Hey, I haven't shot free throws since third grade. Or, math. No, I can count and I can multiply, and that's it. You don't have to pretend to be someone that you're not, because just think how much acting that involves, right? Just think about it. It's like every day you have to put on a mask or wear a costume trying to be someone that you're not, and this has a lot of parallels to business too, which I talk about in the book, or that you can apply to your work or apply to your life. So, and a lot of companies too pretend to be other people that they're not, right? Try to be really cool and hip when they're not a cool tech company. And so I talk about that too in the book.
Love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot of applications, and there's a lot of practical ways how to break free from this in the book.
No, I think that's an amazing thing, that there is that potential to break free. And entrepreneurship is a great, like you said, a great way of having meritocracy, because you can quite literally, you can accomplish it. If you have a great idea and you believe in it and you think you can pull it off, you can absolutely do it. And I think that freedom is so invaluable, but it's also an abundant thing. One comparison that I thought was interesting while I was doing my research was just, the more I thought about it, lemons are grown in droves. Like, you really want a lemon, you can go to the superstore and buy one. But there's so many people that I know that live in a world of scarcity. They think lemons are a one-time thing. They think lemons are hard to get. How do you help bring someone from a life of scarcity, thinking that only certain people can actually have access to lemons to make lemonade, and help them believe that lemons are everywhere? Just go grab them.
Gratitude is the way to do it. And I think when people think about gratitude, again, another term that gets thrown around a lot, but let's actually break down what it means. I'll tell you what it means to me. You might have a different definition, but for me, gratitude is really about realizing what you have in your life versus what you don't. And so talking about the scarcity and abundance idea. And so, when I take the time, and I do this every single day, is I really think about the things I have in my life versus what I don't. I think most people start the opposite. They're like, oh, I don't have this job, or, oh, I don't have the grades I want, or, oh, I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. That creates, kind of negative feelings, right? Negative emotions. And so I think if you start your day every single day with what you have, and it can be little, it doesn't have to be money, it doesn't have to be a significant other, it can be anything, right? It could be like it's sunny outside today, or the flower patch outside my window, or this great book I read, or this great movie I saw, or this class I'm taking in college. There's different ways you can kind of create gratitude, right? It doesn't have to be this monetary thing. And I think when you find those little things in life, or the big things that are important to you, your day starts off on the right track, because it can only go up from there, right? Because you start from a position of strength rather than weakness. And, so I think if you start there with gratitude, that's huge. And then come back to that definition of the Lemonade Life about purpose and possibility. Again, purpose, the reason why you're doing what you do, that connects with gratitude. And then possibility, right? Like, there are endless opportunities in this world. Endless opportunities. People will tell you all the time, you're going to hear this your entire life. Like, I'll just use a book as an example. I mean, you know how many books have been written? It's like millions and millions and millions of books, right? Like everyone has written a book, right? Everybody's made a movie, right? Everybody's created a company. Like, all the great ideas are taken, all the great movies are taken, all the great books are written. That's not true at all. Okay. Like, there are a lot of talented people out there, And again, if you have something that's unique and impactful and you can tell it in the right way and create something that makes people's lives better, you have a shot at greatness. And don't let people define you. Again, culture of dependence. Don't let people tell you what you have to do or what you're going to do, right? Create it for yourself. If you believe in something, and again, you have the talent to do it and you're good at it and people will pay you for it, or give you something for it, a value in return, then by all means go for it. Don't let other people control, the life that you lead. Such a powerful lesson, right? Like, so many people want to control, whether they do it on purpose or they do it by accident or they imply it, like want to control your destiny. And I think that most people give into that. Don't give into that. And the Lemonade life is all about kind of carving your own path. It doesn't mean you need to become famous or, become this like person of riches. It's defining your happiness however you define it. That's so important. It's based on your happiness. It's your purview. It's your life. And no one can define that for you. So all the work you do in your life is for you, and it's based on your actions, right? Your happiness is your definition, and everyone's definition of happiness can be different, and that's a beautiful thing.
Your definition of happiness is personal to you, and all the work that you do in your life is for you. That is definitely something to ponder on until part 2 of this interview, which comes out tomorrow. Be sure to stay tuned for Zach's take on the powerful tool of gratitude, how to look beyond your wolf pack, and how to see beyond your set limitations.